y'all, Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about luxury items I carry with me while I'm backpacking. For those of y'all who aren't familiar with what a luxury item is, it's basically any non-essential item that a backpacker takes with them to add some sort of comfort or enjoyment to their trip. An example of this might be an inflatable camping pillow. Now, me personally, I don't feel like I need that to sleep well at night, but some people do. So while it's not essential to their survival, it is important to get a good night's rest so they feel like that extra weight is worth it. For those of y'all who have been watching my channel for a while, you might remember that I've already done a luxury item video in the past, but the reason that I decided to do another one is because right now there's this kind of luxury item video challenge, if you will, going around that originated on Dan Becker's channel. Dan made a video about his luxury items and decided to tag, if you will, some other backpacking channels to get them to do the same thing. So on my channel, I saw several comments popping up saying that I had been tagged to do this video also, and I went back and looked, and the first one that I could find was by Restless on the Restless Outdoors channel, and I'll put links to all of the channels that I mentioned today in the video description. So just to recap, on my previous video, I talked about two different luxury items, which was my Sea to Summit cup that I really like having because I like to be able to drink my coffee and eat my breakfast or whatever I have in my food pot at the same time, or maybe dinner and some lavender tea at night. You know, I just like the convenience of being able to eat and drink a hot beverage at the same time. And in the Sea to Summit cup that is collapsible, so it fits well in my food pot, there are little marks that help measure out like a half a cup of water or a cup of water. So that way when you're cooking something out of a box and it tells you how much water to add, you don't have to eyeball it. You can actually know that you're putting the right amount of water in your pot before you cook. And the second item that I mentioned in the previous video was a composition notebook. Now they weigh about 10 ounces, and even though it was a decent amount of added weight, it was worth it to me because I've been documenting life since I was about 14 years old in that same type of notebook. I explained each item more in depth in the last video, but I want to go ahead and move on to some of the other luxury items that I now enjoy carrying. First things first is the Garmin InReach. I started carrying this on my thru hike of the CDT, and I will tell you, if I ever go on a thru hike or backpacking trip again where I'm not going to have signal all the time, I will definitely carry the InReach. Having a two-way communication device and just being able to check in that everything was okay with my dogs at home, and just to let my family and friends know that I was okay on trail. And then also having that added peace of mind that if I got in trouble that I could call for help, it was definitely worth the extra weight to me. It also acts as a backup navigation in case something happens to my phone, which is generally my main source of navigation. I use the Guthook app. I have actually also done an in-depth video on the Garmin InReach and my experience with it on the CDT, so I will include that in the video description as well. Next up is the Sony RX100 V, and I added that to my gear list also on my thru hike of the CDT, and it is the camera that is right now recording me talking to y'all. This camera is generally considered to have the best image quality for the size of the camera. It can shoot in 4K, and while on trail I generally shoot in 4K but upload in 1080p because it just takes forever to upload 4K while in a trail town with not so great Wi-Fi. But I like the ability to shoot in 4K, that way later I have the option of cropping the image without losing quality. And there is now a version that zooms more, so just so you know, there is another potentially better option out there. While I'm sure this camera has a lot of functions that I haven't even learned to use yet, the main reason I got it for the CDT was so that I could record in super slow-mo. The Sony RX100 V will record up to 960 frames per second, and I just love capturing bugs, the wind, and just special moments that I wouldn't otherwise be able to in slow-mo, and this camera does that. So while the camera was definitely not an essential item for my thru hike, I'm really glad that I had it, and I will continue to carry it in the future. The next luxury gear item is actually not really a piece of gear. It is hand warmers. While I was on the Appalachian Trail, somebody suggested to me that was not thru hiking, you know, why don't you carry some hand warmers for when your hands get cold? And I thought, I am not carrying something that I can use for only several hours and then it's dead weight until I get to town. But once I was on the PCT in the Pacific Northwest, and I was probably the coldest I had ever been in a certain stretch, I decided from that point on that if I was in some cold weather, that the dead weight of hand warmers after I used them was totally worth it. So on the CDT, I had learned my lesson, and once it started getting cold, I had some hand warmers sent out to me. I like to put them in my gloves while I'm hiking. I like to have them in the bottom of my sleeping bag at night to kind of help keep my feet warm. And I've just found that they're a huge morale booster for me, and having that little bit of extra weight is worth it. And finally, the last luxury item I want to cover today is baby powder. So when Restless did his luxury item video and he went over his fanny pack, he was kind of poking fun and saying he had lipstick in there and some other like cosmetic things. But I actually do like to feel as fresh as possible while backpacking. So the baby powder helps with the greasiness in my hair. I just sprinkle some on there and kind of scrub it in and brush through it and braid it. Also, you know, if the pits get real stinky, I mean, they're gonna stink no matter what, but being able to rub a little baby powder there helps. You can put baby powder in your shoes to help with some of the odor and help keep your feet a little drier. I've also sprinkled some in my sleeping bag when it gets pretty rank smelling, and it can also help with chafing. Now, I haven't read the studies myself, but I have been told that talc powder can cause issues for women down in the nether regions with cancer and such. So make sure that the baby powder you're using is cornstarch. Most of it that I have seen now is, but I just get the little travel size. And again, you know, if things get a little chafed down there, you can sprinkle some baby powder and it helps kind of remove that friction and dries things out. There's nothing like having something that serves several purposes, and baby powder is that for me, so I never go backpacking without it. Those are all the luxury items I want to share with y'all today, but now it is my turn to tag some people so we can continue moving this forward. The first person I want to tag is Famous. I met him on my thru hike of the CDT, and actually he completed the CDT last year also, but it was his first thru hike. His channel is called Seeking Lost, and he's actually been uploading different episodes from the CDT. He recorded a lot, and now that he's home and is able to sit down and put some time into editing, he's been uploading those, so y'all might enjoy watching those also. The second person I want to tag is Deanna McGregor, and she is the lady who is the only admin in my Facebook group, Homemade Wanderlust Backpacking Forum. She does an amazing job over there, but the reason I'm tagging her is she is also a backpacker. She's actually thru-hiked the Camino de Santiago twice now. The first time she did a solo hike, and the second time she did it with her sons. And finally, I want to tag Corey from Second Chance Hiker. If y'all aren't familiar with his story, it is incredible. So he is currently thru hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and he started at 200 pounds overweight. So his goal is to lose a lot of weight during this thru hike. In the first 4 days, he only went 7.3 miles, but I think that he is finding himself kind of getting into more of a groove. He seems very determined and just has an incredible personality. But I feel like on this journey, he is going to inspire a lot of people, folks that kind of feel like, oh, you have to be some Olympic athlete to be able to thru hike. So if you haven't heard about him or seen his videos yet, you should definitely check out his channel. And the last I saw, I think he is near Mount Laguna, or at least on the last upload, that's where he's at. So he has gotten in nearly 40 miles now, and I am just really pulling for him. But anyway, y'all, consider yourselves officially challenged, and I can't wait to see what your luxury items are. That is all I have for y'all today. Thank you so much to Restless Outdoors for tagging me. Thank you again to Dan for starting this challenge. I think it's really cool, and it's a way to kind of connect the backpacking community, even though we aren't all located close by. Thank y'all so much for watching, and if you have certain luxury items that you like to carry with you on backpacking trips, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. I'm always interested to see what people carry to keep them comfortable on trail. If you enjoy the content of this channel, do not forget to subscribe, as it helps more than y'all know. Thanks again for watching, and we will see y'all next time.